We're diving into something super powerful, and that is setting goals with mindfulness. I'll be walking you through the best goal setting strategy and even breaking down real examples from subscribers. I've been a therapist for 6 years, and I've seen firsthand why my clients don't reach the goals and have helped them reevaluate the way they approach goal setting. We often make the mistake of making big goals, and research shows it's honestly not motivating to even reach them. To create goals that truly resonate with our mental well-being and growth can only happen if we start practicing mindfulness. It just means to intentionally be more aware of what you truly want to accomplish and that it makes sense for this season. I've created a workbook, so grab the guide. It's the ultimate guide for goal setting, and follow along, and let's get started. The best thing that I have learned and strongly encourage my clients is to create SMART goals. So what are SMART goals? It means making your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This actually lets you break down those big goals into something smaller, more manageable steps. This will actually leave no room for you to abandon your goals. It's just going to give you more room to actually achieve it. Specific is the first part of SMART, and that is basically just asking yourself, what do I want to accomplish and why? So the way you can approach this is asking yourself, like, instead of saying something super broad and vague, like I want to be healthier, like that doesn't give you any steps. The way I would do it, let's just say I want to get healthier and I love and enjoy running, right? So I may say I want to run a 5K by June 2024. That is so specific. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know the metric that I'm going to need to meet, and I know by when this is going to happen, right? So that brings us to measurable. Measurable goals allow you to track your progress. Using the same example that we were using at the beginning, ask yourself how you'll measure your success. If you want to be healthier, that example is not measurable. But saying that you're going to do a 5K by a certain time makes it measurable. You can also break it down even further and set milestones like increasing running distance every week, little things like that that could help you get to that goal. The next thing with SMART is achievable. And I think this is the one where most people get stuck in. Your goals should challenge you, but they should still remain achievable. And I think sometimes we often make just these unrealistic goals that make no sense for us. So this is where you assess your resources, your constraints, be realistic about what you can accomplish. Let's just say I want to be healthier, or let's just say I want to run a 5K, but you live in an area where there is nowhere to run and you don't like driving. And again, like there are a lot of things that you need to kind of keep in mind. What are your resources? Do you have a place where you can start running? Do you have a treadmill that you can use to start kind of like helping you get prepared? Like these are the things that you need to think about. Oftentimes we don't think about the restraints and like the constraints that we have in order to achieve a goal. And we just think it's going to happen because if this person can do it, I can do it. And I totally believe that. But we also don't all have the same resources. And I think we forget that. Not everyone has the same resources. Not everyone has access to things. And so even just thinking like, is this going to be an achievable goal for me? Do I have the resources to achieve it? Looking at that specific goal we made for the 5K, do you have the time to add this to your current schedule? What needs to be taken away in order for the goal to be achievable? If you don't have time, what are you willing to remove or exchange in order for you to create the time towards this goal? If you have a hesitancy to let something go, maybe on your schedule to add time for this goal, then that may mean that you're gonna go back to the drawing board because there's a lot of things that you are not willing to let go. I always tell my clients, especially when they're like, I want to do this or I want to do that. And I tell them, well, what are we letting go then? What are we changing then, right? Sometimes it is that we do have time and we're just not seeing it. And sometimes we're so overwhelmed that we need to take something off in order to make the goal sustainable and achievable. So those are some questions that you can ask yourself. Now, the next question is also relevant, meaning And you have to ensure that your goals align with your values and long-term objectives. I have an exercise that I did last year, and I did a reset video where you can basically start figuring out what your values are. And also there's this exercise called the Wheel of Life, where you can check every area in your life to see where it measures up, right? Because let's just say we want to run more, right? We want to run the 5K, but really we're noticing that something else like family is more of a priority. Then again, there's going to be certain things that might not be relevant to you. It might not make sense to run a 5K in the next year, right? It might not make sense to do that. So maybe if we again go back to the drawing board to that broader goal of like, I want to be healthier, maybe there's a different way or avenue that you can be healthier. Maybe this is focusing on nutrition. Maybe this is focusing your specific eating habits, right? So just keep that in mind. Just using that example, you have to ask yourself, what are my values? What are my priorities? What is most important? What's going to give the highest impact for you right now? Let's just say all of a sudden you say, I want to run a 5K by June 2024, and you've never run, you don't even like running. It's not relevant to your life. You're not going to become a runner just because all of a sudden. It takes time, it takes practice. A lot of people skip steps in order to get to that specific goal that they want, and then they end up losing momentum because they didn't start small. So someone who wants to go running may start having to just go for a walk, right? So taking that back step. And so I love that this kind of helps you analyze, like, is this relevant to me? Does this make sense, right? And then the last part of SMART goals is time bound. So this is where you set a deadline because it creates urgency and it helps you prioritize the tasks that you need to do in order to get this specific goal achieved. And then you can use tools like planners or digital planner, calendar, anything to keep you on track. So example, if we are doing that 5K run by 2024, then we may want to find an app that allows us to track our time distance, our improvement, that allows us to set that goal to run that 5K, right? This can help you. So think about your T, which is like your time bound, like what are the things, again, as well with achievable when we're looking at resources, what do I need in order to accomplish this goal? Do I need running shoes? Do I have this? Those are the things, the questions that you need to be asking yourself. And honestly, having those kinds of tools it just creates a visual for you so that you can be able to achieve those goals. Now that you've got the gist of SMART goals, and I know it's going to take some time. Trust me, it took some time for me to do this, but I wanted to give you some real life examples from people in different categories. So I don't know a lot of context to some of these things. So I'm just going to share kind of like what my subscribers ended up sharing with me and kind of help them through this like goal setting strategy. This is more of like a productivity goal. So this person said, I would love to improve my efficiency at work. I'm a copywriter and sometimes get stuck on the details with perfectionism, or I self-sabotage with self-doubt. I want to complete more projects and feel proud of my work in 2024. So here is the thing that I would maybe have that person do to be a little bit more specific. So one of the things they said is that they want to complete more projects. So something that I would kind of ask them in order for it to be specific, I would ask them, okay, how many projects did you do in the previous year? So let's just say this person only did in their business 5 projects because like self-sabotage, perfectionism got in the way, right? So I would say start small and start increasing that to maybe 7 projects, right? So you're adding 2 more this year. You can probably achieve more, but if again, your problem is perfectionism and self-sabotage, it's going to take some time. So baby steps. So I would say I specifically want to achieve 7 projects by the end of, like I successfully want to complete 7 projects in 2024. You could even put like I aim to reduce self-doubt and improve focus on my primary task rather than perfectionism. My target completing 1 additional SMART project or task per month. Like you can even be that specific as well. And then how would you measure it? You would track the number of like projects, right, that you make every year. And I would even like, again, think about what do you not have like a deadline, right? So maybe for your project, creating deadlines for yourself and putting that in the contract for your clients, because now you have that sense of urgency. So that's where measurable comes. You have that sense of urgency to complete those projects. And even though self-sabotage and perfectionism are going to come into play, when we have a deadline, we're going to have that sense of urgency. And so it's going to force you to move past the uncomfortableness of being perfect, you know, and you kind of, and you're going to have to be like just turning in those projects as is because of the deadline. So if you don't already have deadlines for your projects, I think that's where you have to start so that you can meet that measurable, like the measurable goal is that each project is done in a specific deadline so that I can achieve 7 projects a year. So that's where I would do measurable. And then is it achievable? Yeah, because what we're doing is you're only increasing it by 2. You could even break down those 7. So like every quarter, I'm going to do 3 projects every quarter. Again, it's up to you how you want to do that, but that's how specific you can be. And then is it relevant? Yeah, because if I complete more projects, I'm going to feel more confident. I'm going to feel more achievable. It's relevant because you've been thinking about it. Like it is relevant. Now, if you don't have time, again, I don't know context about your life, but if you don't have time, then it might not be as relevant to add. But it sounds like you have the time. It's just the self-sabotage and perfectionism is getting in the way. And the time bound is just that you're going to complete this by the end of 2024. You're going to complete 2 more projects at the end of the year. You're going to increase your 5 projects to 7 by the end of the year. So that is how I would approach that goal. So I hope that was helpful. And then someone said, and this is more of a mental health goal, they said, I would love to set better boundaries at work and stop people pleasing and stop self-sabotaging. Here's how I would break that down even smaller, because there are a lot of things you can do when it comes to this. But I would say specifically, I would say start practicing saying no to just one non-critical task each month to avoid like overburdening yourself. What I would do first with this is I would make a list of all the things that are like non-critical, that are safe to kind of say no, but in the past you haven't said no to, because again, the people pleaser, the limit, boundaries are hard. But these are going to be kind of like you're starting in a hierarchy before you go and say no to like saying no to your boss about a specific thing. Like you start first saying no to your coworker about, you know, I don't know, helping them cover their shift. Like, again, I don't know the specifics, but the specific for this goal would be for you to practice saying no to just one critical task each month. If you want to do more, you can go each week to avoid overburdening yourself. And then how are you going to measure this goal? You're going to keep a simple no each time you set a boundary and how it made you feel. That's like the simplest way, because I want you to kind of acknowledge that you're setting this goal. I want you to acknowledge that you said no and how that made you feel. Oftentimes it will be uncomfortable at the beginning, but then after a while, you're not even gonna feel it. Like you're gonna feel so much better. I think people like with boundaries, they think like, oh, I just need to be good at boundaries first before I set them. No, like that's the worst thing you could do. You can't wait to be good at something to do it, you know? So definitely just keep a note to measure like how you're feeling when you said that every month, or again, if you want to challenge yourself and do it every week. And then how is it achievable? You start with smaller, less urgent tasks. That's how we're going to make it achievable. Remind yourself that it's okay to prioritize your well-being, and we're not going to get you to doing the most, like saying no to things that you're super afraid of. We're only going to start saying no for little things at work. And then relevant, this is relevant because setting boundaries is key to managing your stress and maintaining your mental health. You're finding yourself like that you're self-sabotaging. So this is going to be relevant for your life because it's going to impact your confidence, your self-esteem. And then time bound, again, you're going to evaluate and adjust your approach each month. So each month you're going to try to do one less critical task. So imagine like if you say no once a month to something, you're going to have 12 things that you said no to this year. And that's going to, I know it's small, but it makes a big difference because we know when we say yes, sometimes it comes with so many strings. So I hope that's helpful. Now, the next subscriber goal, this is more on the career development goal. So this person said, I am trying to move outside of the classroom and work on skills to add with my master's degree in instructional technology to help me get a new position. But it's been hard to know how to approach this goal. I need to work on the practical skills like the different technologies and the platforms and websites. Once I learn the programs, I can work on more on my portfolio, but I'm just not sure where to start with this goal and how to work into my already busy life as a teacher. This is what I would do for this person who is basically trying to make a career change, right? But she needs to learn some of these skills and she doesn't even know where to start. So here's where I would start. I would say focus on learning one basic feature or tool each week within your field, or focus on specific, right? Specific is just pick one program, and maybe you do some research, like what is the program that, even like looking at jobs that you potentially want to get and looking at the responsibilities. And let's just say you have to be an expert in, I don't know, WordPress. I'm not sure specific about your stuff. So let's just say you need to be specific in WordPress. Then that's where you're going to put your attention in. So that's how I would be more specific, because it can be overwhelming. So really do the research what's out there to see what is the specific program that you can just start. Because I know it feels like there's so many programs. I need to start everything, but you don't have time. You're a teacher. And I feel you might not have a lot of time. So right now, I would do that. I would do an audit for where you're spending your time right now. And just like I said, that with it achievable, are you willing to let something go? Maybe are you willing to let go at night when I know you're tired, that 1 hour that you spent on Netflix? Like, it can be really hard, but maybe right now, because you're so overwhelmed, you just need to set 1 hour a week. So specific, set 1 hour a week to work on one specific program. And this will be, I want to spend 1 hour a week on this specific program for a month. Maybe that's as small as you can get, as specific as you could get. And then you can measure by making a checklist of all the features or tools that you want to learn and ticking off each one each week, right? So if it's like WordPress, then you want to learn what plugins are. You want to learn how to do this and that. Again, I don't know the specifics to you, but you can just write like 5 features that you want to learn or 5 things you want to know within that program. And that's the checklist that you're going to do. You're going to make it so small and achievable for you. So again, we're making it achievable by honestly doing just very small, consistent amount of time weekly. Doesn't have to be more than 30 to an hour a time. You could even do this during your lunch hour, where you start learning the program, start also, messing around with the program, things like that. And by a month, will have learned some part of the program, So imagine if you keep doing that for a year, it's going to add up. So then how is that relevant? Well, gradual skill development can lead to career advancement without overwhelming yourself. That's why it's relevant, because it's small. It makes sense for you, like as a teacher and having a busy schedule right now. So start learning. I know it might feel rough because there might be stress related to the work, right? That maybe prevents you from feeling. I think people get it wrong. It's not that we don't have enough time. It's that we don't have enough energy. Like, I feel that all the time with clients. Like the time you do have, but the energy is different. So really making it small makes it relevant for you and easier to achieve. So how is it time bound? We're going to set a weekly goal, like maybe every Sunday I check in that I at least spend an hour doing this. Or you could do, the time bound would be, I learn how to be at least beginner on this program by the end of the quarter. You decide what that looks like for you, but I think that's how I would break it down for you. And then the last one that a subscriber said, this is more of a school goal. So this person specifically says they want to study for and take the GRE for grad school. So what I would do, and make it specific, I would say start with studying one GRE subject area at a time in small, manageable portions. Even beyond that, I would start initially taking a practice test and then seeing what is your lowest area. And that's how you could pick when that's the area that you pick. I would also say if you're going to grad school, look at what they're actually looking. Because for me, when I went to grad school to become a therapist, they were not focused on the math. Like it would be okay if you didn't do like really well in math, but the writing portion and the reading portion, they really wanted high numbers on that. So I really focused on that and less focused on the math portion. Like I was like, okay, like my time is better spent using these that my specific grad program is going to look. So research the grad programs that you're getting into, look at the scores that they're looking at. Like, are they looking at the score as a whole, or are they looking at the sections? And then pick that and start with that one section for that first quarter or for the first month. And then how would you measure it? You're going to track your study sessions by aiming for short focus periods. So maybe adding an hour or maybe even 20 to 30 minutes a day focusing on that section. And then at the end of the week, maybe you do a practice test on that section. So why is it achievable? You're going to use your GRE study materials, like for beginners. You're going to go on a slower pace. Like, this is why it's achievable for you, because we're taking it slow. Again, I don't know your timeline for getting into grad school. Like, let's just say you're starting in January and the application is for the summer, so you get to the spring, then that means that's how much you're going to have time. Is it enough time for you to achieve it? If you feel like you bombed that first practice exam and you're like, nah, I'm going to need some more time, then yeah, then you're spreading it out a little bit more. And then is it relevant? Yeah, you need it to get into grad school. It makes sense. It's your priority. So it is relevant. And just like preparing for it, studying for it will make you feel more prepared for the GRE. So time bound, maybe focus on weekly goals with a flexible timeline for taking the GRE. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I went really, really quick just sharing, but I love doing that. Goals is like my favorite thing. So I hope that the people who submitted some of these examples got some motivation and like a specific start for where they're at. If you love videos like this, make sure that you consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.